Right, let's get into it. What's the crack, lads? My name is Evan, your host for tonight, aka the Jersey Man. I am joined here with my amazing co-host, Martin Mighty Mags. Martin, how are we getting on this evening?
I'm good, mate. Always good. Decent week so far. Thursday night, heading towards the weekend. Newcastle won last weekend, where we made Van der Ven look like the world class defender that he isn't. Isaac turned him on his arse twice over. So yeah, good week so far, mate. So yeah, happy to be on with the boys. Yeah, all good.
Happy days, glad to hear. Right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all, we have a mighty show for you tonight. As you can see, we have two mighty guests. Two, we'll say, right underneath me. We have the host of Pride of London Fan TV, Ali the Eagle. Ali, how are you doing, man? How are you doing?
Yeah, mate, it's been a fun week, which started with me getting kicked out of a WhatsApp group full of Scousers. Yeah, it's just been hilarious. Like, it's been a terrible season for Palace in lots of ways, but I said if there could just be one bit of light, just give us ending Jurgen Klopp's all this Sky Sports narrative around his goodbye, and to go there and ruin that party. I'm not gonna lie, it's probably in my top 5 beautiful moments of my life.
Oh my god,
beautiful!
What a statement! Oh my god! Look, we'll be chatting about Liverpool and Palace soon enough, and of course, finally, but last but not least, we have Declan, regular show on this now. Usually on the United reviews there with Mark and the lads. Declan he's brilliant ball knowledge. Declan, how are you keeping?
Good, man. Good. Getting ready for the semi-final against Coventry now on the weekend. So hoping we can end the season with a bang, and looking forward to hopefully another trip to Wembley after Sunday.
Jesus, that confidence. I don't think Coventry will go down lying,
Oh, no. I don't expect them to. Definitely with Mark Robbins at the helm, he has them playing some great stuff this season already. Not going to be an easy game, especially with the way United, you can't predict which United team is going to turn up. But we always turn up with a bit of hope, and I'm hoping the boys can put in a decent performance on Sunday and get us to the final, where we'll probably face Chelsea.
For your sake, I hope they do, but Coventry have nothing to lose, They're going to go out fighting.
Yeah, they have to. I mean, that's what you'd expect from any team turning up in the semi-final. I mean, realistically, people would expect United to win, and that'll probably buoy Coventry on and give them a bit of belief. They do have nothing to lose. They can go out, put in a performance. I'm just hoping, for my sake and a lot of other United supporters, we can actually turn up on Sunday and get the win.
Well, look, we'll have to wait and see. Right. Passing off the intro, so let's get into our topic. So before we actually do that, make sure you like, subscribe, click the links, all that crack. Check out everyone. But we have a nice few topics coming into you first. But we have to go to this Liverpool's fairy tale season, as Ali already said, with Palace winning a mighty 1-0 against Liverpool. Jurgen Klopp's is literally he's falling apart. Like, we thought it was all in his hands, fairy tale, and it was all coming together for him. But it's just after crumbling. We'll look at the last 3 games after playing, right? So you have a 1-0 loss to Palace. You have a absolutely shocking 3-0 loss to Atlanta. Second leg is on tonight. I actually don't have it on the background now at the moment.
They were 1-0 up, the last I heard.
1-0 up, right? So we'll have a score updates at half point interval, so we will, and then an outstanding 2-2 against United with the last 3 games. So we're going to talk about the main match, the most recent match, is the Palace match, the 1-0 wonderkins of Palace, and we have an expert in himself, Ali, Pride of South London. I mean, like you said at the start, he absolutely done everyone, the world of football, a favour in beating them, and mighty nail in the coffin, a very big nail in the coffin. Let's get into the match. What's your initial thoughts of the game itself?
My initial thoughts were you always, when you go to the big teams, you want to get a goal to get yourself into it. So to get the early goal was obviously brilliant. And by the way, I have to say it was a great goal. You know, there's this narrative about Liverpool's missed chances, but our performance both offensively and defensively was outstanding. The 18 passes in the build-up to our goal. Not being spoken about. Jamie Carragher did a poll on Sky Sports of what to talk about on Monday Night Football, and he put Liverpool's misses rather than talking about our performance. So 18 passes in the build-up to the goal, and then obviously Eze ice cold. And at that moment, Klopp's face on the touchline, beautiful. But
says it all.
The worry that we had as Palace fans was we are terrible at holding leads. Under Hodgson, we were not fit enough. Our squad depth in certain positions isn't good enough because our summer recruitment was poor. So the worry was you've got around 76 minutes to hold on. And we've got like the record of conceding the most goals in the last minute. So to hold on for 76 minutes was a heroic effort. Although I will add, there were Liverpool missed chances. We also had one off the line in the first half. Robertson off the line from Mateta, and Alisson also made what I would describe as an outstanding save in the second half. So I think we played really well going forwards, but defensively, we just saw out our game management was so much better than it had previously been. And it was just an outstanding away performance. And we've just got that knack of ruining the big teams' parties. You know, Liverpool need to stop inviting us to these leavers parties. We ruined Gerrard's last game. We've ruined Klopp's goodbye. And there's been a lot of tears this week. A lot of tears. I've only just been back in that Liverpool WhatsApp group.
It's music to my ears. I love hearing that. That. But you're saying about how you're the bad transfer window, all that crack, how the most goals conceded and all that. Do you think it's more of Liverpool undermining Crystal Palace and thinking, handy win, we'll go out, small club, small team, it should be an easy win? Do you think it was more of an arrogance thing for Klopp, or do you think it was more of the fighting the dog for Palace?
No, I don't think so. I don't think he underestimates us at all. He said in the past, bloody Crystal Palace, like, because we've given him problems in the past. I don't think so at all. I think to be honest, what it is essentially is it was a very good away performance from us. I don't think we've been credited enough with that. And in the second half, they did miss quite a few chances. And, you know, as funny as it is for us to ruin the party, I think the party would have been ruined eventually anyway. I think what it boils down to essentially is having someone who was at Sellers Park the other week watching Man City, as someone who was at the Emirates when we got beaten 5-0 by Arsenal, I think Liverpool are the third best team in the country. I think Arsenal and Man City are a level above them. I think if you have someone like Darwin Núñez who misses, I think there's some stat about how many key chances he's missed, you are not going to win a Premier League. At some point, that's going to bite you over 38 games. And I think what really has happened is in these last few games, the reality comes through, and you know, the top teams sort of rise, and the right results come to the fore in the end. And I think it is kind of right. I think I wouldn't completely rule Arsenal out yet based on they've only lost one game this calendar year. But I just don't think Liverpool, if they had won the league, would you say they're the best team in the country? I don't think they are.
God, no. I would never say Liverpool are the best in the country. Would never. I would actually die on that hill.
I would cry if they
I think everyone, even the only people who would say they're the best in the Prem, even if they win the next 50 Premier Leagues, I will still never say it. And I think the only people that would say it are just Liverpool fans.
Yeah,
they're so fixated and deluded on it. Like,
to be fair, I mean, I say that I'm in this Liverpool WhatsApp group. I've got a good friend who is a Liverpool fan. He's quite a realist, and on all season, really, he has been a little bit critical of them at times. I'm not really sure they truly believe they would win the league. Personally, I think maybe they knew deep down. I personally thought that maybe Salah would carry them over the line. Sometimes you get that exceptional player, but you know, the levels are high. This Man City team are one of those teams that are going to go down in history, like the United treble winning team, like the invincible Arsenal the Invincible Arsenal team. I really do think they're going down in that tier. So the levels are extremely high. You can't. There's no room for error. And I think they just sit where right now in the league is where they will sit after 38 games. I think they are probably in the right position now.
Yeah, look, in fairness, they have been riddled with injuries, same as every other club, though, in fairness. But you think what's holding them together is Klopp. Like, once Klopp goes, do Liverpool fall apart and fall into that hole of what they were, per se, as when they had Balotelli up front? Like, that era, like.
You mentioned injuries. We've been a club who've been riddled by injuries. I mean, that's about the 5th or 6th game Eze and Elise have been on the pitch together this season. But, one thing I would say that hasn't been spoken about since Sunday is that was Palace without Mark Gahey at the back, keeping the clean sheet at Anfield. Gahey, an England international. That's not been spoken about. And we still defended extremely well and kept that clean sheet. So that made it all the more exceptional for me.
Like, exactly, credit where credit due, and give everyone the flowers. But like, we'll come to you, Martin. What's your take on the whole Liverpool Palace game itself? Do you think Klopp is kind of worn out with everything going on at the moment with his last season with the Europa? English would be nice if I had it. Europa League and the injuries and that, and rotating players around. What's your whole take on the whole Liverpool sensation?
Listen, I think I said it the other week. I can't wait to see the back of Klopp. I don't generally just don't like the guy. I think the arrogance has become worse as the more seasons he's stayed for. I think when he first came into the Premier League, he was kind of like a breath of fresh air. For me, he had this different style. He was, a good laugh. He kind of turned that Liverpool team upside down, different formation, brought in players. And I think he was really good for the Premier League. But I think, as that's gone on, I think he's just become more and more detestable as they've gone on. I think
he's embraced the inner Liverpool in him, so he has.
Yeah, I think to take Ali's point, I think I only watched the highlights of the game from the match at the weekend. But I think if you can set up a really solid defense and you can defend as a unit, then I think you're capable of not only just stopping Liverpool, I think you're capable of stopping any team. We outside of the Cup this season, we've beaten City twice. And that's because we can defend as a unit. Now, we've had other games where, that same 4 has gone away and we got fucking dumped off Spurs 4-0. So it's like you're kind of looking at it. But I think when I seen the result on Saturday, it's kind of one of those where you're kind of looking at it, you're going, Jesus, Palace beat Liverpool 1-0 at Anfield. And then you're kind of going, yeah, well, I can kind of see that. Because Palace, for me, like both my cousins live in London. My eldest cousin is a Palace fan, so he goes regular. And he'll say, listen, we could play one week, get beat, as Ali said, get beat 5-0, and we could go next week to Old Trafford and we can come away 2-0 winners. We're just so up and down. It's mental being a Palace fan.
We've got this history. We've got a history of doing it against these big teams. Man City fans hate us. Like, I was up in Manchester for the away game where somehow we got a 2-2 and I was in the pub afterwards. And they see us as their, like, bogey team. We've just got this insane ability to just play terribly and then suddenly turn it on against the big teams.
Yeah. But I think as I suppose as a Newcastle fan looking in, when you've seen not just Liverpool's result the weekend, but then you see Arsenal get beaten as well, you're kind of going, right, now it's a bit of game on. I think, again, we were talking a couple of weeks back. I said, listen, out of the 3, I would prefer City to win it because I don't really like Liverpool and I'm not really keen on Arteta either. So, for me, if I had to choose the worst of the devil, I would say City. But I'd like it to go to the final day and then City still win it. But to give Arsenal and Liverpool fans hope only to burn them out on the final day, which will be...
there's a true evil in you, Martin. There's a true evil.
Absolutely. So, but listen, I think Palace have those results in them. But like any team, I think, listen, if you're well drilled, I like this new manager that Palace have got. I think he looks good so far. Yeah. I think, again, as an outsider looking in, and maybe Ali tell me otherwise, I don't think it was the right decision to bring Hodgson back. And at point of it was stupid for me. I think, I've always been of the moral, kind of once you read a book once, don't ever read it twice. So I think it was the wrong decision from the hierarchy in Palace to bring it back. I don't think it was good for the club. I don't think it was good for himself. I think, look, at a point, you have to kind of know when your number's up and just say, right, take retirement, take the millions and sit on the beach and drink wine. You know what I mean? But listen, I like Palace. When you lads come to St. James, it's always a good game. There's always goals. Neither of us can normally defend. And you've got some good players. You know, there's players I would definitely take out of the Palace team. So listen, there'll be more shock surprises before the end of the season. And if Palace's name is in that, it wouldn't surprise me to see them get other results like that. They're a good team and they play well.
You mentioned the players there. They do have some decent players throughout the years, and even this year you have the likes of Anderson, which I think he's an underrated defender. He doesn't get his flowers enough. You have Eze or Eze. I don't even know how to pronounce his name, but mighty midfielder in fairness to him. But like Crystal Palace are currently sitting at 14th on the table with 33 points. Ali might correct me on that one now.
14th.
Is there any fear of him dropping to relegation, like with 7 or 8 games left?
I think that fear eased at the weekend, if there was any. I think, all season I've been pretty confident we won't get relegated, just based purely on the fact the bottom 3 are so poor, and also the points deductions to Everton and Forest, rather than on us being any good, because it was really dire under Hudson. Martin's right. It was a weak decision to reappoint him. Not temporarily. That went really well until the summer. But it was a weak decision in the summer to appoint him for another season. And, the consequence of that was really quite dire. Seeing it all sort of came to a head, Arsenal away, where I was at the game. We lost 5-0 and all the banners came out. And you sort of had, it was kind of that sad image of Roy looking over at the banners. But there was sort of a narrative in the media that the fans hounded Roy out. That's not true. All the banners were directed at the board because we were angry at the board for putting him in that position. It's probably one of the saddest things I've watched at Palace is him not being allowed to leave the cheers in May. It would have been the perfect end to his career. It felt in a way like an exploitation of a 76-year-old man because you could see the writing on the wall in December. You could see where it was going. And they kept it going until it reached boiling point where we lost 5-0 at Arsenal, lost 4-1 to our rivals Brighton. It just got a bit very, very toxic. So it was sad, but I never really feared relegation because the bottom 3, the 3 who came up, no disrespect. Luton obviously have had their moments, but Burnley and Sheffield United are awful. I was at Sheffield United game of the season. And you could tell where it was going then. Like they even looked resigned to it. It was kind of a weird atmosphere. Normally when teams come up, they're really buoyant. They kind of just like they knew they were going to go down. Luton have had their moments, but at the end of the day, they've got the luck of 2 teams having points deductions and they're still in the bottom 3. So what I think will be interesting is next season, it will be tougher if Leicester and Leeds come up. It's going to be a very, very different division down the bottom, and clubs like Palace, there's a feeling like Palace and also Wolves in the appointment of O'Neill, and they've not really spent money, were kind of maybe knew that the bottom 3, the 3 coming up weren't great, and they could kind of get away with underinvesting this season.
You touch on managers there with Hudson, and it's always tough to see a manager you love so much take such a beating, we'll say. But we're going to touch on managers later. But we're going to continue talking about the top 3, Liverpool, Arsenal, City. Dec, I'm going to come to yourself. What's your we'll say dream outcome for the end of the season with the mix that's in there?
This is a hard decision for me, especially with those 3. The only thing is I never want to see City win the league. I definitely don't want to see Liverpool. Would be the worst case scenario for me to win the league. I mean,
I think that's everyone's as well. Yeah,
that would just destroy me this season. I'm hoping, because I'm going to the United Arsenal game, last home league game of the season. I'm hoping Arsenal have actually tied up the league by then, and we can hockey them that day. I don't know what way I'm going to feel if Arsenal need to win against United. I mean, I'm never going to back against my team, anyway, especially when I'm going to be there. For me,
even if there's a 99% chance you're going to lose, you'll never go against them.
I can't go against United. I mean, that's the thing. Now, devil's advocate, if Liverpool are 2 points behind Arsenal with 10 minutes to go and then they get a winner, I don't know. For me, Arsenal to win the league, Liverpool to win nothing, United to win the FA Cup. That'll be... I can't say it's a dream season because we've had probably one of the worst seasons in as long as I can remember. We've been so bad this season. We've been very bad. So hit and miss.
Could always be worse, though. Could always be worse.
I don't know. This season was pretty bad.
But no. Look, I think everyone is in agreement. I think everyone wants to see Liverpool get absolutely shafted. Klopp to walk out the door with the door slapping on the way out. I think best case scenario, City win the league, Arsenal second, Liverpool third. But I mean, after first place, like who really gives a shit if you're not first, you're last, like in my opinion. And whether you're
everyone's
10th, 11th.
Sky Sports' love affair with Liverpool and Klopp this season has gone to extraordinary lengths. I mean, it's like they're willing them to win everything. They've convinced Virgil van Dijk that he's the best defender in the world.
Like,
he's been found out.
Almost got so bad over the weekend that I generally thought about unsubscribing. Like,
it's propaganda at its finest, sources.
Yeah, honestly, they had Jamie Carragher in the comms on the game, and every time Liverpool had a miss, oh, that's a terrible miss. Every time Palace missed, that's a great save by Alisson. It's just ridiculous. And then he puts this poll on for Monday Night Football. What should we talk about? The Liverpool misses. Like, no credit to Palace whatsoever. And at that point, I actually tweeted Sky and went, can you get any more bias? Like, I genuinely, at one point, was so annoyed with it, I thought about unsubscribing. It is just a big narrative loving that was crushed by Palace.
To be fair, you get that with a load of teams, lads. Do you know what I mean? We had that on Saturday night after playing Spurs. You know, when the late game came on after we played at lunchtime, it was like they weren't talking about how well Newcastle played to demolish Spurs 4-0. Like it was all about how badly Spurs played in that game. And it's like you're watching, you're kind of going, hang on a minute, you know, kind of like Palace, to be fair. Like Newcastle have been absolutely destroyed by injuries. Like our 12 or 13 that are missing would make a very good first team elsewhere. Like we're missing that many. But it's like they were intent on just going how poorly Spurs were and, you know, what happened to Van der Ven and why did he have such a bad game? No talk of like that Isaac actually tore him inside out and what a quality attacker he is. It was all, the agenda was all very much no credit to Newcastle. They got that because Spurs were really poor. And like, I fucking hate that. That drives me mental.
Yeah, it is just propaganda at its finest. But like, here's your opportunity to call out whoever you want to call out, whether it be Carragher or Sky Sports itself. They need to be held accountable, 100%. And it's madness when Klopp announced it that it was all Liverpool are going to win this, Liverpool are going to win that. Oh, it's Klopp's fairy tale season. It was all set up for him. I think it got to their heads, and that's what makes it more sweet to see Liverpool get bet with the likes of with the Crystal Palace, like winning the 1-0. It's them small little games, as we say, that you'd expect Liverpool to win. No offense to Crystal Palace, themselves, like, but
you would
expect a big club like.
That's a fair comment. You would expect them to win, yeah.
I actually said before the game, I met a Scouser. He'd be a good friend of mine, but he's a Scouser. And I said to him, mark my words, Crystal Palace can turn you over today. And he laughed at me. And I messaged him straight after the game, and I said, I told you, Crystal Palace always have it in them to take Liverpool out of it. They're too used to doing it. And in fairness to the game they played, they deserve to win. I don't care about Liverpool's misses because misses don't matter. A miss isn't a goal. You don't get anything for it. Crystal Palace won the game 1-0, deservedly.
I mean, you're right. We always have this thing to do to the ability to Liverpool. I mean, this was good, but as someone who was in a stadium for Istanbul when we came back from 3-0 down to kill off Gerrard's title bid with Brendan Rodgers, that was insane. Like
that was such a good season.
Yeah, after the game, you could literally see Gerrard, Suarez was crying. He had to be like carried off the pitch like a baby. And like you could see Gerrard going like that to the camera to get it away from Suarez.
Pushing it out of his face, yeah.
I mean, this was a good sequel to that. But yeah, Istanbul was just the best.
I have a video up on my Facebook from 10 years ago of that moment when Suarez was crying, and I actually put it up again for the other day because it was honestly, just
like the TV cameras. Sometimes on TV you might think it's just for a bit. He was absolutely on the floor. Like it was unbelievable, that game. Unbelievable.
Well, look, it was a mighty season. We can all say that. The famous "Do not leave this slip." Gerrard slipping. Then we say Istanbul. That mighty 3-0, and Suarez going off crying. It was.
I tell you one thing. Like you look at Liverpool, they don't have an easy run in.
No.
Like their fixture. Like I'm just actually glancing here. Like they've got Fulham away at the weekend. Then they've got Everton away, West Ham away, Liverpool at home. Tottenham at home, Villa away, Wolves at home. So they've got 5 away games of all those kind of top of the second part of the league, for want of a better word. Like none of those are easy games. It wouldn't surprise me Fulham turn them over 1 or 2-0 at the weekend.
But they're the type of games
wouldn't surprise me at all.
Exactly, they're the type of games that Crystal Palace and Liverpool fall into. They're the type of games where they're likely to lose points where they'll like draw or they'll lose.
Exactly, and the derby, like Everton are going to be scrapping for points at Goodison. Like that's a tough game.
Oh, for sure, 100%.
The derby, and so there's another for me out of those 5-6 fixtures. There's another 2 or 3 in there that Liverpool could easily drop more points
100%. But right, so we're touching on strikers. Martin was on about Isak. We're talking about Suarez. But let's move on to the strikers. So let's talk about Golden Boot, lads. And I think this year is tight and is probably the most excitement we've had in a good while with the likes of strikers. The striker role hasn't been effectively amazing in the past few years in the Premier League, unfortunately. Even when you're looking back on the amazing strikers we had of old, it's crazy. But the Golden Boot race, I think that it's up for grabs now between 4 or 5 players. We have Haaland and Palmer on par. You have Isak, Watkins, and you have Solanke in there as well. Like, so I think, and it's madness how underrated we'll say Watkins and Solanke are, and Palmer even getting in there is a dream for any Chelsea fan. But Deck, yourself, I'm going to come to you first. What's your predictions? Who do you think deserves it? Ins or outs?
I know we never judge a player on his first season, but I think Palmer has been fantastic. I think the performances, the goals that he's got have been great. He's definitely up there with one that deserves it. Watkins, I mean, what Watkins is doing for Villa is massive. I mean, he's keeping them up in the top 4. He's doing great stuff. Who's going to get it? I don't know. It's going to come down to the run-ins. It's a good one at the moment. I think Palmer is definitely on fire. You saw that with his give me the penalty protests. He wants it, and that's good for a player of his age. He's shown a bit of initiative. He's shown a bit of hunger. So I wouldn't be surprised if he gets it this season.
Yeah, no, he is a fair shout, but we have to talk about Watkins. He is such an underrated player. Underappreciated too. I think of the whole Premier League. I said it 2 seasons ago, and I still can't get over why this man wasn't snatched up. He would have been a perfect fit for the disaster that's at United at the moment. Well, I wouldn't even call Highland a disaster. It's just he hasn't performed to the best of his ability. Is a fair statement to make. It's just madness how overlooked he was. Watkins, and who I'm on about now, and same with Solanke. It's unbelievable, and there's no fear with how bad Haaland is after. Well, bad we'll say in comparison to his amazing last season. Martin, what do you think between Haaland last season and this season? Is it how do I put this now? Is it a course obvious downfall in comparison to such an amazing season?
Well, I think, look, let's start in the first place. I think you're all wrong because obviously the Golden Boot is going to Isak. So, with all the dues to
For
Deck
fuck's sake.
and
I
Ali and
see.
stuff, Isak. If you look at the stats, lads, now let's just talk before we all get
But this is
excited.
the thing.
Let's just
I
talk.
purposely left out Isak's name out when I was listening.
I know, yeah, because you know I'd say it.
Exactly. I knew you were going to do it.
If you look at the statistics in goal ratio per game,
Oh, here we go.
Isak is currently the best striker, not just in the Premier League. Isak is one of the best strikers in world football at the moment. Goals to game ratio. He's at 0.68. Haaland is at 0.74.
This
So
man is going to die on a hill on this.
you gotta give Isak some credit. Will he win it? No, look, probably not. I think who is going to win it? Listen, I agree with Deck. I think I really like Palmer. I said that to you lads before we came on air. I think he's having a really good season. Kind of makes you wonder where Chelsea would be. No disrespect, Evan, but where would Chelsea be without him? Because like he's kind of carrying his.
Oh, the man's back is broke. He's our Hazard at the moment, so he is. He's
exactly.
absolutely our Hazard at the moment.
Would I like to see him win it? I think he's a great player. He's getting the goals, but I think some of his celebrations and some of his antics at times, he's a bit of a dickhead. So for that reason, I'd probably say no. But I think he's going to be up there. But yeah, probably like yourself, Evan. I think I wouldn't. If it's not Isak, then I think Watkins will be a good deserver. I think he's deserved the England call up. I think he's played really well for Villa. I think Emery has him ticking. He's playing him in the right place. I think for me, he's a proper centre forward. He's got pace. He's strong. He's not afraid to get stuck in. He'll track back and do the job in the middle of the park where he has to. He's good in the air. Like he can take a pen. He's got a good free kick on him. So I think as an overall all-round player, probably because he hasn't had as many players, as many pens, I would say Watkins for me probably deserves it above everyone else. Haaland, again, we chatted kind of off air. I don't think Pep and City are playing to his strengths again. I think if you look at last season, they were in different formations. We said kind of before, like Grealish was playing on that left. Like that's all changed. Like you've got De Bruyne coming on that was the middleman, but Rodri's playing so well. How do you displace him? You're bringing on you're taking 100 million player in Grealish off and bringing on De Bruyne, which is what an amazing luxury. But he's playing De Bruyne far left. He's playing Foden far right. You got Haaland in the middle. To me, City have kind of changed up. They were playing more a 4-5-1 last season with Foden's at 10, and him and Haaland were interchanging. Foden's getting those goals now this season, but Haaland looks like he's at the top of a kind of 4-3-3 for me last night. So I just don't think City are playing to his strengths. And you look at it and you go, he's having a shit season. 20 goals. It's chronic. But in comparison to where he was last season, he's way off the mark. But again, I think, for Ali's perspective, we were saying before we came on, defenders get wise. These players come in from foreign leagues. They have this breakout season where nobody knows them. Like, what Haaland's about. You see him in BBB and you go, listen, Premier League's a different game, lads. We'll show him what football's about. But he comes and he knocks 40 goals past you. He wins a treble and you're going, we'll show him next season. But what actually happens is the defenders do. Deck, you'll know this. You have players that go into it that, Drogba was the same, breakout season, scored a shitload for Chelsea. He was steady after that, but he didn't. Andy Cole came to Newcastle, scored 40 goals first season, got found out first season in the Premier League. Still scored 25, but he wasn't as prolific because defenders learn the game. They learn that attacker's game, where to stand off, where to turn, where he wants the ball, how much space you need to give him, where you need to be in a starting position in the air to him and everything else. And I think the more the season has gone on, I think the more Haaland has looked frustrated for me. Like he looked a frustrated player last night. He's not, the chances he's getting, he's snatching, which is not like him. So I think there's something not right with how City are playing him or how he is playing. And I think for that reason, despite City probably being on a charge, I think Watkins will win it, I think.
Yeah, that's a fair shout. Look, I think, Ali, I'll come to you next now. I think that's a fair shout, no panic. Like, but it's kind of like you're saying that Guardiola's options and tactical mind is kind of Haaland's downfall. That Guardiola is he's kind of putting him into a position where he can't be the best that he can be, like you were saying, the best of his ability. Ali, the lads were talking about Palmer, and obviously Palmer is on par with Haaland at the moment. But my main concern is everyone kind of writing off Palmer and not giving him his flowers and the credit that he deserves because of the penalties he has.
I have to include myself in that. I think I've kind of been guilty of sort of saying, oh, well, you know, he's scoring a lot of penalties. I think the 4 goals against Everton has made a lot of people, including myself, maybe eat their words and actually stand up and go, well, hey, like this guy really is the real deal. And also I've heard a lot of people, particularly Chelsea fans and friends that I'm Chelsea fans with, say he should be starting ahead of Saka at the Euros, which is now a very pertinent conversation. I like him. I like him a lot. I think he's a good character. I think I read something that was quite funny on Twitter the other day that Man City's 136th charge should be selling Palmer for 45 million and buying Doherty for. I thought it was a good shout. I like him a lot. I think in terms of the Golden Boot, it's for me it's between Palmer and Haaland. Both of them take penalties. I agree with what Deck's saying. Haaland it's not quite clicking, but I think, you know, there can be a bit of an exaggeration. I've heard people say he's having a disastrous season. He's still got 20 goals. And I think with City out of the Champions League, it's going to be all on the league now. So I think definitely, I think if I had to put money on it, I'd still say Haaland will get it. But I think Palmer will run him close. Watkins, I like Watkins. I think he'll be up there. I think he might just miss out. But interestingly enough, it wouldn't surprise me if Southgate leaves Watkins out of the Euro squad. It wouldn't surprise me. I think he's going to. I think he said how they have to sort of change their game a bit for him, and I think Ivan Toney came in and did well. It will be a bit of a shock, but it really wouldn't surprise me if Watkins is left out.
Yeah,
and
no,
I rate him a lot. I rate him a lot, but I think going from Kane to him going from Kane to Ivan Toney is less of a change than going from Kane to Watkins if there was an injury. And I think unless he takes all 3, but then he could also use Palmer through the middle or Jarrod Bowen through the middle. So it might be the shock person who doesn't get in. There's always one.
Yeah, no, it'd be such a shame to see because he's been absolutely sensational, unarguably. But the thing we're talking about Palmer there as well, like for such a young talent, he's very mature in himself, and obviously evident by the arguments that were had on the pitch on the Everton against Everton. Sorry, how he's able to take a stance and.
Oh, that was ridiculous, wasn't it? That was just embarrassing.
Oh, it was crazy. It was crazy. But the gas thing is, it's not the first time it's after happening.
Yeah.
Madueke has had arguments before. Sterling has arguments before about penalties. But I think this boils down to Poch needs to clearly state and clearly say Palmer is the penalty taker. No one go near him. If it's his decision if he wants to give up the ball to another player. But the gas thing is, right, when they were in the heat of the moment, right, I think it was against United, heat of the moment to step up and take the penalty. Where were the fights? Where was Jackson? Where was Madueke? Yeah. They weren't trying to push out of the way, but when the pressure was off and it was 4-0, it was 4-0, the boys were, let me get on the score sheet. Like it's stupid. Carry on. Yeah, and it really shows the maturity in the team. In fairness, but in fairness, you have to congratulate Conor Gallagher to push the boys back, Palmer, and you know.
Obviously, as a Palace fan, we had Gallagher for a year. I mean, some Palace fans have obviously gone off him a bit because he scored and stuff against us, but I always loved him. His mentality is incredible. Like, never stops running. Was always the last player off the pitch, applauding the fans, and like he literally just got in there and shoved them away, didn't he? It was brilliant. Like,
exactly.
I mean, that's Chelsea's biggest problem is the mentality. Even in victory, you can see the mentality is wrong, like that. And that's the biggest problem that they've got, and that until that's resolved, I don't see Chelsea going to the next level.
It's a hard one to watch, really, when you see.
It's not just the mentality, lads. Poch needs to deal with the egos. He's got to knock the egos off and knock the squares off of some of these boys and just say, listen, you might be getting 200 grand a week, but sit the fuck down, play ball, or you're going to be on the bench. He's got to take some action because these lads are.
We know he wasn't great at dealing with the egos at Paris Saint-Germain. That was his biggest problem when he had lots of egos there with Neymar. And apparently, he didn't deal with them there. But I think maybe, hopefully, it's just young players. Those young players just need to mature a bit, and maybe it will come in time. But I still think, for me, and it's been like this for a year or two now, Chelsea need some leaders in that dressing room. Gallagher obviously is one, but they need one or two more players to sort of lead the line. Can you imagine John Terry and Frank Lampard on the pitch? Nah, it wouldn't happen.
But that's it. That brings us perfectly into the next thing now is if you were Poch and you saw that happening out on the pitch, you were looking across the field and that was going on, you got the boys in after the match is over, everyone's in the dressing room, you're the manager, you're walking in, what are you saying? What's the punishment? We'll say, Martin, I'll come to you first. What's the reaction?
For me, it's dead easy. Lads, next week you're with the reserves. It's that simple. You either play the way I need it, and it's my way, and you cut the bullshit and the crap. Listen, that part of the problem is for me, and listen, we were chatting about this when we were chatting about the sport a few weeks back, and I said, listen, I'm a bit older. I'm from a different era of footballers than these guys with the Gucci bags and the tattoos and the, it's just the attitude. It's like the money and the fame and everything they get is just so accessible now when they sign for a club coming from overseas or even in the English game. The money is ridiculous. So when you kind of have that money that you're earning 180, 250 grand a week, what's the worst case that's going to happen? You play a season and you get dropped. Sure, you're a multi-millionaire. Do you really give a shit if Poch says he doesn't want you arguing on the pitch? You're turning up every week. Worst case scenario, you're on the bench. So for me, there's got to be some format of repercussion to say, lads, listen, you're wearing that blue shirt. You play for the badge. You're representing those fans out there. Listen, I don't really have too many bad words to say about Chelsea. I think they're a good team. I like Poch. But if that was the Newcastle players doing that, I'd be fucking horrified because to me it's self-centered. So you either play for this badge and you give that everything, or you don't play. So for me, and I've seen it in Newcastle. I've seen it. To be fair, I've seen it at United. I've seen, you look at the Sancho thing with Ten Hag. If you're not going to play my way and you've got an ego or you're not doing whatever, you're out. And I think that's what Poch needs to do. I think those 2-3 players, even the likes of I watched Thiago Silva come up to try and talk to the two, and the two boys pretty much blanked him as if he was a nobody. Thiago Silva, one of the best football players in the world for me, one of the best defenders the game has ever produced.
That's why I love you, Mark. That's why I love you.
No, listen, you know me, mate. I'll call it as it is. He is a quality defender, still is. Legs are going a bit. But he's still got it up there to be in the right place. But those two lads in particular, Jackson and that, to diss him the way they did on that pitch, it's ridiculous. And I think if there isn't any kind of repercussions, then I think Poch loses that team even further than he already has. So I don't think he fully has control of it.
Dick, I'll come to yourself next. We're walking into that the dressing room after the game.
Liverpool are out, by the way, boys, all over.
Are they? We have an update. Liverpool are out.
Liverpool are out. They won 1-0, but Liverpool are out. Atalanta go through on aggregate.
I love it. You love to see it.
I do have some scores. Do you want a quick score update?
We'll get a score update. We'll get a score update.
So as we said, Liverpool won 1-0, but they are out on aggregate. Benfica are currently 1-0 behind to Marseille in the last minute. Roma are beating AC Milan 2-1, so it look like they'll progress. It's 3 minutes of injury time. and Bayer Leverkusen have equalised. So Xavi Alonso's run goes on. Leverkusen have equalised. So it is 3-1 on aggregate, 4 minutes of injury time to be played. So Leverkusen still cruising through, and Xavi Alonso's boys still unbeaten this year. That's the score updates.
I just got a notification that Booking.com is after crashing due to Scousers cancelling all their hotels.
Apparently so, yeah. Yeah, exactly, yeah. Well, I might be able to sort myself a night out in Dublin now because all the hotels will be freed up. So
they'll all be dirt cheap, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. They'll be trying to flunk them. They'll be on Booking.com tomorrow, yeah.
But Dick, anyway, like I said, you're walking into the dressing room. What's your reaction? Are you on the same boat as Martin there?
I am really, because I'm probably... I don't know, am I older or younger than Martin, but I'd say we're near enough to the same vintage.
We're probably the same, yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, and the thing is...
Let's not get into numbers, Dick. Let's not get into numbers.
Player power seems to have taken over from the manager. We come from a time when the manager's word was the be-all and end-all, and if you crossed the manager, that was it. It didn't matter who you were, you're off the team. Doesn't matter. And I think that's what Poch needs to do. He needs to set an example with those two. Ten Hag did it with Sancho. I think he was completely right. He had to do it. You have to lay down a marker with these players. Anyone just getting 200 grand a week, they're living in a different world compared to the rest of us, you know. But at the end of the day, it's for the crest on your chest that you're playing for. It's not a game for one player. It's a team of 11. You know, you're playing for, like my team are playing Manchester United, you've Chelsea, you've Newcastle, you've Crystal Palace. We want 11 players out there playing for that team. We don't want them fighting with each other. We're all for them showing a bit of passion. But what happened in the Chelsea-Everton game was just complete comedy. You know, it was just great for the rest of us looking on. But I mean, no, it can't be allowed to happen. I think managers need to get back the power that they had before and start laying down markers to these overpaid whinge bags. It's my opinion.
Completely agree, yeah. And it does bring you back to the point where you don't get your likes of the Fergies. Like you see with Fergie and Roy Keane, that was a mad moment. Roy Keane telling the story of it all. Fergie didn't give a shit who we were. Do you know what I mean? And it always reminds me of another incident in Chelsea with Kepa and Sarri. When Sarri was in, we'll say, control, he was in the manager spot.
For some reason, I was at that game. That was incredible. Like,
you were at that game?
Yeah. I don't know why. I think, like, my dad got...
Hold on, the secret's coming out here now. What's happening here?
Yeah.
To be honest, I think I was one of those...
Chris, the pride of London, or is he a Chelsea fan? Which is it now?
I think, you know, you were one of those... We were in, like, to be honest, I'll fess up, we were in Club Wembley in the nice bit. But that was mad, like proper mad. Like if you're like, what is going on? Like, it was crazy. Really.
I'll never forget watching that game, like, and Kepa giving the finger.
Yeah.
He going ballistic on the line. You can see he was mad for a smoke, so he was. He was mad to light up a cigarette and ease the packet of food.
He used to come off and get away with it before. Like, it's crazy. And I remember after the match, and even while it was happening, I remember going ballistic thinking, if he doesn't rot in the reserves, if he ever gets another game for Chelsea again, I'd be shocked. How was Sarri? I was just absolutely madness, and how it wasn't talked about more is beyond me. But it just always brought me back to that moment, and how why don't we have these managers anymore? Why don't we have these be all and end all, as Deck said there? But it does bring us on to another topic now, is in Poch as well. Who do we get in to replace him? Manager pool, who's there, who's available, who's not available. And it's not just Chelsea as well. There's also potential rumours for Ten Hag and the swapping of managers in and out. Tuchel, Jose, there's rumours everywhere. Roy Hodgson's available.
Oh Jesus! I don't think anyone wants to. He needs just to retire to a holiday home somewhere. Yeah. So he does.
I think Steve Bruce is still looking as well. I think
he needs to enjoy himself.
One last job for Neil Warnock.
Oh jeez.
He's really pushing buttons now.
Do you want to replace Poch? Are you Poch out?
Well, see, for me, right, personally, I've said it on multiple occasions. I never wanted Poch in the first place. Now, when it came down to it between Poch and Enrique, I wanted Enrique. I could see that the Spanish era was coming into it, and you see it now. The Spanish managers have a hold on the game, like the Xavi. You have Alonso, you have Arteta, and you have Pep. They're taking a hold of the game, and I wanted Enrique in. I thought Enrique would have been fucking mighty for Chelsea.
Yeah,
he would have done immense stuff for us.
Yeah.
He would have done 10 times better than what Caramel Frappuccino is doing at the moment. Like, but the thing for me is, I understand we have FFP to look after, right? And we just can't have. I don't think the club can afford him to get rid of Poch at the moment. We've 200 million to account for. Like,
who do you get in? I don't think you're gonna attract Enrique away. He's doing a very, very good job at PSG. Who do you get in? Like Alonso.
But that's the thing. We have the manager pool to look at. There's not many managers coming out. Do you know what I mean? You've Klopp leaving. He's saying he's not going to come back. You have Jose is there. I doubt Jose is going to be coming back. Tuchel is probably our best option. I know you also have Southgate, and you have Potter. We'll never get Potter back in. Southgate is fixated for United, I think personally. But the best option so far is Tuchel. Like, me personally.
I do see some promise in. I can kind of see where Poch is going with this team. There is some signs of promise, like the 6-0 the other day. It's not being consistent. The mentality is not right, but it wasn't right under Potter. Lampard came in, and you could still see the same problems. Is he the manager to sort out the mentality? Maybe not. As we discussed, he didn't really cope with the egos at PSG very well. Do you know what I think his biggest issue is? He has this thing around him that he hasn't got a winning mentality, which I think is harsh because he never won anything at Tottenham, which I think is harsh because he's taken Tottenham the closest they've been to winning the European Cup that I've seen. I think that's a bit harsh, but I think his biggest issue is he should have won that League Cup final. Like, if the amount of injuries that Liverpool had, if he won that, I don't think we're having this conversation.
I don't know. I think that's a bold statement to make. I just think he gets so much praise. It's borderline overrated, right? He was, the way I see it, he was a mascot at PSG. My mother could have went in there and done the same job. In all fairness, like the team that he had, I think with Tottenham, it was more or less the players done all the work. It was so laid back. Son, Kane's back were broke from carrying the team. And at Chelsea now, it's just it's like he doesn't care. It's like, look, that's the players that have. Go out and try have fun and try win something.
It's just,
you know what I mean?
I say it's been so inconsistent. I mean, I obviously, like, you've watched Chelsea a lot more than me. I was at Palace at Sellers Park when you played us, and that was inconsistent. It was like the first half you were so bad, I couldn't believe it, and then second half you were like a totally different team. Like, he's not found the consistency. Is that a symptom as well of a young team? Poor recruitment. It's been said so many times. You spent $1 billion, but for what? I just think you're 2 or 3 players short. Whoever's in charge, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think you've got to give him his flowers for Tottenham. I think he did a very good job when he was there on the whole.
Does it justify the hype he gets though?
Based on who's out there, I think I'd probably stick.
Oh yeah, we have to stick. We have to stick to at least the middle of next season, and then if it's still the same result, or worse, we're going to have to bite the bullet and fork out the cash to get him out and to call in new manager. Like it's just that simple. But who we get in is another thing. But Dick, I'm going to come to you with the rumours around Erik ten Hag at the end of the season. If he goes, if he stays, what the fans want. I think majority want him gone. From what I see on Twitter, majority want him gone. Do you get rid of him? I think it's a bad move if you get rid of Erik ten Hag. And then who do you get in? Like,
I hope he's there next season anyway. I think what this season has shown us is ten Hag isn't the problem. It's been years of mismanagement from the Glazers, years of mismanagement of the club. It's been run as a cash cow. We're earning money left and right from merchandise, and that's what kept the Glazers there. They weren't too focused on what was happening on the pitch. And we've seen getting rid of managers hasn't worked for us, you know. The one time we had sustained success was when we had a man there for over 20 years in Fergie. And let's not forget there was calls for him to be gone from the club as well. I definitely give Eric a chance for next season. I think this season is massive for us because we need to get a load of players out. I was delighted to see that someone linked Martial with Spurs today, which means Spurs are as deluded as ever. I think that player is probably the biggest waste of space I've ever seen wearing a United jersey, and I can't wait to see the back of him. Seeing him walk out on a free transfer is probably the best we're going to do all summer. I don't care. I'll actually drive him to London and
drop him off the doorstep.
Yeah, I'll hang him if they want. But no, I definitely stick with Eric. I think he needs to be given a chance with, you know, he has brought in some of his own players. I've liked some of them, not all of them. But I think it'd be a bad move getting rid of them. And there is no one out there that you're looking to bring in. There's not a lot of quality that can be sought at the moment of managers that want to get a job. Whatever you do, they have to keep Southgate at England and away from United, because I definitely don't want him.
I think the ones that are linked with United are Southgate, Potter. I think De Zerbi is in there as well. I think someone mentioned him. I think I seen that on Twitter there once or twice. Martin, yourself, who do you think is bound for a switch between Poch, Ten Hag? Who's going first, and who's coming in?
Do you know what? I think it's a tough call. I think the problem with Chelsea is I don't necessarily think it's the manager. I just think it's a poison chalice. I think as much as maybe sometimes Chelsea fans hate to think it, I don't think they've ever been right since Mourinho left them, and managers have come into that club. And I think to a degree, and I was kind of saying this to Keane a while back, it's a little bit for me, a bit like at United. Nobody's really kind of made a good fist of it since Ferguson left. And I just think sometimes there's these echelons of corridors in big clubs where these managers who have ultimately been hugely successful. So Ferguson, if you, I suppose I'll take United as the example. When Ferguson came in, didn't win a game for months.
Yeah,
he came in from Aberdeen, was a virtual unknown, had done okay in Scotland at the time with Aberdeen because Rangers and Celtic were going through transition of very, very poor teams back in that day. Ferguson came to United and nearly got the sack, that close to getting the sack. But they made the right choice, they persevered, and the rest is history, as they say. Chelsea got Mourinho in, went through that incredible journey, winning, got Abramovich, all the good stuff. The rest is history. The Roman era. The rest is history. You know, and all these clubs seem to have that. So I'm not a firm believer in keep chopping the manager. And I take that from personal experience at Newcastle. We went through with Mike Ashley, 14 years with Mike Ashley. We went through 12 managers. Like we'd McLaren, we'd Bruce, we'd John Carver. Like we'd fucking Joe Kinnear, of all people, who then went from being a manager to the director of football. So nobody has to tell me about the pain of swapping out managers. And we, 14 years of wilderness. There's been lads calling for Eddie Howe to go this season. With half a team missing, we're still in sixth place with a chance of European football with nigh on 2/3 of the season with no players. So the job that Eddie Howe's done cannot be pushed aside. So I think, look, you've got to stick with these managers and you've got to give them chance. If I was bringing in anybody, not necessarily to any club, but a manager I would love to see be given a chance. And even if you do look at the table, some people go, not so sure. Daniele De Rossi at Roma, I think, has all of the attributes. What he's doing with Roma at the minute, as you know, I follow Roma, but as a manager who came from a player from the club to be the manager, what he's doing at Roma is very clever, very quiet, but he's getting them up the table. They're in the semi-finals of the Europa League. Like he's got them on the march. And I just think he has all the abilities to be a really, really, really top manager. So if somebody was going to come to the Premier League, not necessarily United or Chelsea, maybe it's that might be a club too far for him at the moment. But I think if there's a club there that would look. He'll move eventually. He has to, because he'll only do so much in Italy, so he will move.
True.
But if again, you're saying there's not that many people out there. Nobody's talking about De Rossi.
De Rossi's actually a mad show, and you know what? He is. He would have nothing to lose.
Manager.
Like he'd have
no,
nothing
absolutely
to lose,
nothing.
no matter who he goes to. Like
nothing.
It's
He had
going to
nothing to lose when he went into the Roma job, because you had very similar in Italy. You had Juventus, doing really well, but then they had the drug scandal and Pogba and everything else, deduction of points. You had Milan, who were in AC Milan, who were in transition. Inter were flying. Roma were doing nothing. Lazio had Sarri. So, even from a Roman point, Lazio were flying high. De Rossi's just come into it, and nobody's really talking, and he's just a manager that you never, ever really hear his name. But I'm telling you, boys, he's one to watch. He's a quality manager.
Someone needs to clip this, right? Because this could be happening in 2 to 3 years' times, and everyone was talking, oh my God, De Rossi's tearing up the Premier League. Fucking best manager ever. We're going to look back at this moment and be like, Martin called it.
Groundbreaking, yeah. Bookmark this, lads. And listen, it'll probably never happen on my luck, but I just think he's a really, really good manager. I think he's really underrated, and nobody's talking about him.
Hey, look, that's what this show is about.
We'll go with the prediction from Mystic Martin.
Yeah, I tell you.
Mystic Martin, it has to come in.
Funnier things have happened. Yeah, no, listen, lads, if you watch anybody who watches Serie A, he has it going. I went to the Roma game when I was out in Rome there 6 weeks ago. We went with the girls and with the wives, myself and the brother-in-law. My brother-in-law is a Scouser. Very quick story. We were in the hotel, and the guy who worked in the hotel went, oh, because I had the Newcastle top on. He had the Liverpool jersey on one evening. He went, oh, you lads love the football, yeah? Yeah. He said, oh, we've got tickets to the Roma match. You want to come against Brighton in the cup? And we were like, oh, we're going to get killed. Like a Scouser and a Geordie in the middle of the Roma end. But in fairness now, he took us and we got the tickets and we went to the game. Oh, my Lord. Unbelievable football Roma played that night. It was just unbelievable match. And
the teams left in the Europa League, you'd say that's going to be between Roma and Leverkusen to win that.
I'd say so with what's left. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'd be surprised in the semis if Roma don't get through to a final. I'd be fairly shocked. But funny things have happened. But yeah,
I think he hit the nail on the head there, lads. I think the biggest point to take in it, I think managers need more time. I think it's scandalous in this day and age that there's this toxic trait between a lot of clubs that if managers aren't winning something in 6 months' time, they're packing their bags and they're gone.
It's a business. It's a business, though, Evan. That's the problem.
It is. It's all to do with money, like.
It's results. If you don't get the results and you ain't making money, then you're not good enough.
Exactly. It's not producing mass numbers. You're packing your bags, and we'll just move on to the next hot thing that's coming in through, which is crazy. I think Arteta is a prime example. Look what that man's after doing with Arsenal. He's after pulling them out of the slumps. They're the best they've been in years. So they have.
And they were calling for his head 2 years ago. They were calling for his head.
Calling for his head, exactly.
Or like a social, one of the quite big social media commentator for Arsenal calling for his head because they lost to Bayern last night. Like honestly, the mentality is just unbelievable these days. Yeah. Like the time,
it's crazy.
It's mad. What I'd say on Arteta is, I think this is a big moment for him. I think even if they don't win the league, I think he needs to take it to the last day at least to show progress. If they completely crumble like they did last season and just lose 3 in a row now, then I think that some of the criticisms would have more substance to it. Like it's a real moment for him and the team to show that they've at least built more of a resilience. And
exactly, and it's such a shame because it'll diminish the whole Arteta era, we'll say, at Arsenal. And it's such a shame to see because he's literally after pulling, like I said, out of the slumps. It's absolutely madness. But look, lads, we're after going over the 1 hour mark there. We're just going to do a quick little talk on content, right? Everyone's content, what's new coming up, what has been done, what's being done, all the ins and outs. Ali, you're doing a lot for Crystal Palace and Crystal Palace fans. You're mighty on Twitter at the moment.
Pride of South London Fan TV. You can find me on YouTube. often do reviews and get like little clips of the fans, sit right next to the home South fanatic. So yeah, you can find me on YouTube on Pride of South London Fan TV. And yeah, thanks a lot for having me on it. It's been great. I'll just finish. I'll throw in one other name in the manager's hat who I really rate is Thomas Frank.
Go for it.
Thomas Frank of Brentford. I've been watching
not a bad shout. You know what? That's actually not a bad shout.
See him with a bigger team at some point. But yeah, thanks very much for having me on. It's been a lot of fun. And Liverpool fans, chin up.
Mighty.
Yeah.
Martin, you're flying the flag high for Newcastle fans. The black and white is going well. The Geordies are happy. How's
this
Twitter
weekend
coming?
Yeah, good. Listen, you can see that the tag is there. So at Mags_Mighty, you'll get me. I've just given a follow to both Deck and Ali, so you'll see I followed you there. So
thank you very much.
yeah, the Twitter is good. Listen, it's all as you know, Evan, from following me for a good while now. It's all my own views. I tend to sometimes get into me few rants. I like to have a bit of crack. But yeah, this is it really. I'm kind of just on here with you boys representing the black and whites, and we're talking Premier League and everything else. So yeah, if you like what you see, then make sure you are subscribed and following the Weekly Armchair and the Kickoff and following Evan and myself. And there'll be plenty on every week.
I love it. I like that now because it's not the usual, let's say, big club supporter. The top 6 supporters, like we have different opinions from multiple different clubs across the league. With the likes of Newcastle and Crystal Palace, and hoping to get more on from other clubs in the league.
Yeah.
Deck, yourself, the content, where can we find you popping?
Well, I'm like a gun for hire. You know, I can pop up on any podcast anywhere. I love doing it, and I love interacting with fans from other clubs as well, because, you know, it's great talking about United, and I love it, but it's also great to hear other points of view from other fans as well. You know, and I think that's what makes this podcast interesting. You know, opinions are varied. We'll probably start fighting at some course of the season, you know,
for sure.
Especially after Palmer scored that penalty against United. Pity the Chelsea boys didn't fight that night. It would have been someone else had taken it. But this is what it's about. It's about getting different opinions across, bringing fans together, and hopefully making the shows interesting for people that are watching.
That's it. That's exactly it. Like,
absolutely. And I think it's nice, as you said, Deck, it's nice meeting people. For me, coming on, like, you know, catching up with like people like Evan, like a new Keen, but like meeting yourself, Deck, and Ali, you know, for me, it's ticking off 2 more lads I follow now who have the same interests, and making 2 more friends, you know, and doing a few shows. So I think that's what these things are all about, and get on. But I think just one last thing I would say, just on Ten Hag, made me think of it early on, is I do actually hope he stays at United, because Newcastle fans, we do really appreciate the 6 points every season now. So,
and
thanks very much.
I appreciated the trophy in Wembley last season as well.
I know, but listen, you know, we happened to dip form just at the right time. So yeah, but we'll be back at some point.
Trophies are for everyone. Don't worry.
Beat United.
Yeah, exactly.
We beat United at Old Trafford this season, didn't we? I'm pretty sure.
Thanks.
It's very easy to take 3 points there, Ali. So I've heard.
Yeah.
Look, lads, this is what I love about it, right? It's the whole, we'll say, the positive side of social media, between the Twitter, whether, like I said, Twitter, TikTok, anything, Facebook, whatever you do your content on, it's great to see. And like Martin said, it's 2 more friends added to the club, and it's a nice way to appreciate everyone, and they're listening to all the different points of views. For me personally, I go more on TikTok myself. I give away jerseys, as you can see, the Jersey Man, mostly GA jerseys, but I'm after branching out into soccer jerseys. I have a little series in the progress at the moment, but I've also joined, and I think this should be going out to everyone, for pure soccer content, right? So I have to pronounce this properly, because it might sound like I'm saying OnlyFans. This is called OnlyBants, right? It's a new app out, and it's for pure soccer content, right? And I think it's just the best thing ever. And I'm not just saying that because I'm currently number 1 on the leaderboard, but in the world. But we'll leave that for another time. But OnlyFans, lads, if you're not on it, get on it. If you don't know about it, find out about it. What it is essentially is challenges are automatically put into, we'll say, the creators bar, and if we ask them questions like, is Klopp finished? Is Arteta after bottling the league? Will Man City come right again? Or who's going to be the best to come up from relegation? Everything Premier League related, like. And you make a little video, a little 30-second video, giving your opinion, and people can challenge it then. So if Martin puts up a video saying Arsenal are going to win the league, I can click challenge, record my views, and then it goes into a rounds match then. So there's 2 videos. So Martin gives his opinion, I'll give my opinion. And then people then who see the video can then vote. And after 24 hours, whoever gets the most likes or the most votes wins the debate. So it's a debating app. You can be aggressive, you can be kind, but it's a brilliant way to meet new people and to hear different points for every different fan from different clubs. Like every one of the City fans, the 3 City fans that only support the club are on that like at the moment. So it's nice to see them getting interacted. There's Spurs fans. Yeah. Yeah. But there's Spurs fans, Brentford fans, Brighton, Newcastle. Do you know what I mean? It's Luton fans around it. It's brilliant, and it's only going to get bigger and bigger. I think it's going to be the next big soccer content app out there. So, like I said, check it out, lads, and everyone in the comments and in the views, everyone that's going to watch it and is watching it, please check it out. Like the creators on it. I'm sure you'll see me at some point on it. I throw out daily content. You'll see the boys anyway. They're all on Twitter. Hopefully, they'll spread out into others. Social media platforms, and I'd like to say from the bottom of my heart, thanks for watching and best of luck, lads. Happy days.